This is Family Time 135. We're talking about organization and scheduling. And even as I say that, I imagine some of you are kind of like, that's kind of boring, kind of dry, not something I'm interested in. Because we often think of things like being organized or setting up a schedule as something restrictive. We talked about that when we were discussing discipline. I know there's some of you who are on the other end of the spectrum who like everything to be absolutely organized to a T and everything has its place and everything's written down in the planner. And that's okay too, as long as that's not causing you undue stress. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. That we have control, that we're able to set up a schedule that we want to a point. There are always going to be obligations. You have a set time for school and for the classes that you go to and for extracurricular activities. And I understand that a lot of your life is planned right now and not necessarily planned by you. But within that framework, you do have control over how you organize things and how you do utilize your unscheduled time. And that becomes very, very important, especially later in life. Whether you go to college or start a career right away after high school, whatever it is, but at some point in life, we wind up having to take a little bit more control over our own time. That's a great gift if we understand how to do that, how to use it, how to build some structure for ourselves. And structure is not the enemy. Structure takes us closer to the things that we want, to our goals, to our dreams. And we have to set up processes that work for us. And when we start a schedule that we want, we can build in things that we enjoy. But then we're not drifting. If it's important to you to spend time on TikTok, Instagram, scrolling on your phone, that's okay. But you can plan that into a schedule. Then you're not running as much of a risk of just drifting and being lost and wasting a lot of time. In that scenario, it can be a reward. It can be a little treat. Maybe you got your homework done, so then you set aside, once I finish my homework, I'm going to give myself a half an hour just to do whatever I want on my phone. Then it's structured time. Then it's what you intended to do. And being intentional with our schedules, with how we organize our lives, that's really the important thing. That we're just not being dictated to, or we're not drifting along aimlessly. There's a lot of different things that work for people. And as I mentioned, I know some people sometimes get so organized and specific with things that they kind of beat themselves up if they don't hit every little bullet point. And that's not exactly what we want either. We want to find something that works for you as an individual. And I want to practice that. At the beginning of the year, I had you write down a goal or an area of focus for the year. If you remember that or you have it still written down, I want you to reflect upon that. We talked about reflection last week. Have you met the goal, or are you continuing to make growth toward the goal? If you're not, if you don't feel like you're any farther along than you were at the beginning of the year, that's okay. That's the point of reflecting, to take time to say, okay, I need to get back on track with this thing. Then I want you to set a new goal, a short-term goal. Something for the end of this school year, the last quarter of the year. Could be in class, could be an extracurricular, could be something outside of school. But set up a goal. Then assess the resources available to you. What time do you have to work on this goal? What materials do you have? And that could be even information. We live in this amazing era where we have all of this information and training at our fingertips at all times. So what things are out there that can help you? Can help you with whatever that goal is. And this doesn't need to be a goal that you'll absolutely complete at this end of the year, but maybe it's something that's going to set you up for down the road. If you're a senior, what's something that you want to do in this last quarter that's really going to help propel you into the next stage of life? And that's what it's really all about. And I do think, we'll talk a little bit about in class, there are some things that can help you set up a schedule, even if you don't like to have a real tight schedule. I think it's good to be intentional with how we start our day and end our days, so that we're not being aimless when we get up in the morning, and we're not in a situation where it's like, geez, the alarm woke me up and I'm rushed for time. Because that kind of sets our mood for the entire day. And we don't want to start the day on a down note. It's also important how we end our day, to end it with intention and help set ourselves up for the next day. And the other suggestion I'll make now is when we set up a process, try to break it down. Make it really simple. We've talked about that before, about trying to have these baby steps, these small bites to just get us a little bit closer to where we want to be. And try to make it as simple as yes or no questions. I try to do that anytime I set up a process. Within that, you can have other goals of this much time or these checkpoints. But I think it's good to set up processes where I can say, did I do this thing? Yes or no. That makes it very easy to assess in the moment. If I said I was going to work on this thing, or I was going to dedicate this much time today, did I do that? Yes or no? Then we can adjust from there very quickly. That's what we're doing this week. We're trying to set up some systems to help us be successful. Try to set up some schedules that you want. They're going to bring you closer to your goals and include the things that we're obligated to do, but also build in some time for ourselves, for our personal development, and for our enjoyment. Until next time, much love.